Hello, my name is Gabe, and today I've had the honor of reading Sankofa by Chibuno Onuzo. I have probably pronounced both of those horribly. Forgive me. It's not a language I know, I don't think, of which either that name or the title of the book originate from, hence why I am very confident I pronounced it wrong. But that aside, this is an oddly complicated review. Normally I like to start the review with a simple, do I recommend or not recommend the book? I'm going to say, in general, probably not. But I'm saying no whilst acknowledging there is some really good stuff in here. It's just buried. Extremely deep. Alright, I guess let's just get down to it, huh? This book is about Anna, because the name Anna is a common book protagonist name for whatever reason, who grew up, and as of importance to the story, is of mixed race, and grew up being raised by her white mother despite not being white herself. And as one would expect, that caused her problems, and ultimately she never knew her biological father. Honestly, at this point, it's a rather familiar story to one I've read previously that I did not review. However, the big twist, though, is her father is an African dictator, or at least is perceived as that by many people, which, on paper, sounds like a good story. It does. That's why I picked the book up in the first place. However, it has something that holds it back. Holds it back in a huge way. And this thing is why I can't recommend this book. The book is told, and we see Anna going through the motions of discovering as much about her father as possible. How does she do this? By a journal. A journal that the book cannot get enough of, but offers nothing to the story. And that's where this boils down. The way I would describe it is, you know how some TV shows have clip shows that they'll do? Or if it's an anime, a recap episode. It's like seeing one of those, but to a show I've never seen. And not even done particularly well either. She'll just be doing some random thing or another, and without really prompting, just read a random page from the journal. The pages of the journal offer nothing to the story. And in fact, they have characters written in such a way that they don't make sense as characters because of the journal. So that Anna has either a reason or motivation to show them or think of the journal. And it's not like the excerpts we're seeing from the journal are relevant to the current goings-on of the story. And in fact, while the journal is in full effect, the story just isn't going on at all. She'll go about her day, do some random thing, go to a museum, time to read a page from the journal, and it goes on and on. And all it does is take away. And again, here, let me show you how nonsensical it is by showing you something that happens. So, during a chapter, Anna ends up visiting the residence of someone who was in the journal. You think she'd want to show a page of the person being shown in a good light, or something like that. Instead, she picked a moment that would render anyone speechless, and had a moment where the person writing the journal basically insulted her. Because that's exactly what you want to show to someone to get them on your good side. And this is what I mean. The journal isn't in service to the story. The book is in service to this journal. So, the way the story boils down from... spoilers from here on out, I guess, because I'm going to go into the plot. The way the story boils down from here, from in general, is she finds the journal, spends way too much time reading it. We've already been over that. And in order to distract herself from the divorce proceedings with her husband, she decides to fly off to the African nation of... Let me make sure I say this right. Bama? I don't actually know how to pronounce it, so forgive me. But when she goes there and meets her father, and this is where... it's a rocky relationship where she learns of some of the things her father's done, including to her, and has to decide whether she can forgive her father for doing stuff that are, well, downright awful, or if she can't. And that's when the story starts to get good. At the moment, I remind you, where they have her father literally take the journal away from her so that they can't use it anymore. That's right. The story starts to get good when the journal goes away. This is what I mean when I say the journal holds this book back. Once the journal's gone, there's actual emotional strife. You feel the actual conflict. And, by the way, before the journal's gone, there is no emotion whatsoever, even though there's supposed to be. You feel the internal conflict that she has when she talks to these people, when she tries to get back into contact with her family, when she does anything. Yet, before that, there's nothing. And this is where the conflict goes. There's a good book in here. There's a good story in here. But you have to read 2/3 of, well, emotionless trash to get to it. Genuine messages, genuine morals, genuine questions. All in the last third of the book. I'm not going to say it sticks to the landing because in my opinion it doesn't. But the fact is, it was starting to get good at the end. And I have to wonder, could this book have been made in a way that allowed it to actually be good? Would maybe removing the journal altogether, or at least severely reducing its role, allowed for a good story? I think, honestly, maybe. Because the author knows what she's talking about. She does. There's clear knowledge, and I suspect a lot of personal experience brought into this book. The problem is, it took the book too long to really let that shine. I think rearranging the story would have served it well. No, not necessarily remove the journal, but don't have it be something we have to constantly look to. And maybe instead of having the bulk of the book take place in London, as she's preparing to go, as Anna is preparing to go meet her father, have it take place primarily when she's meeting her father. Or at least when she's in that country. You can allow it to really spend some time on her father being maybe kind to her specifically, whilst also seeing some of the less than great things he's done. But instead, we focused way too much on the journal. And that's where I stand. Though it did get me thinking about something. What is more important in a book, the ending or the beginning? And I'm going to talk about that in a future video, so hold that thought. But I think that's it. I can't recommend this book, not as it is. I will state, if you desire to read it, there is a good story in here. A really good story. But you're going to have to read you're going to have to read through a not great story to get there. That's all I can say. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like. If you want to see more like it, do subscribe. But more importantly than any of that, have a good night.